Here's what truck dealerships are hiding from you when you're shopping. What if I told you that certain truck engines have a 90% failure rate that will cost you more than $15,000 to fix? That's not an exaggeration. These engines are designed to fail, and when they do, the repair bill often exceeds what your truck is worth. Picture yourself excited about towing your boat or hauling equipment, only to watch your engine destroy itself on the highway, leaving you stranded with a 5-figure repair estimate. In this video, I'm exposing the 13 truck engines that are absolute financial disasters waiting to happen. And number 1 is so catastrophic that metal shavings destroy your entire fuel system without warning. We're talking $10,000 to $15,000 in repairs overnight. Stay until the end, because this isn't just information. It's your survival guide to avoiding the truck purchase that will bankrupt you. Number 13, GM 2.8-liter Duramax Diesel. The GM 2.8-liter Duramax Diesel, found in 2016 through 2022 Chevrolet Colorado and GMC Canyon trucks, brings you all the headaches of modern diesel ownership packed into a smaller engine. This isn't your grandfather's reliable diesel. This is an emissions nightmare waiting to drain your bank account. The emission systems on this engine clog up constantly. The diesel particulate filter and EGR valves get blocked, especially if you live in cold climates or don't drive the truck hard enough. You'll see that check engine light pop on, and suddenly your truck loses power and runs like garbage. Fixing these emission problems isn't cheap, and they keep coming back. But here's the real killer with this engine. It's what's called an interference engine with a timing belt. If that timing belt breaks, the pistons smash into the valves and destroy your engine completely. We're talking total engine replacement. GM says the belt lasts 150,000 miles, but experts who actually work on these engines recommend changing it around 100,000 miles. That replacement costs about $1,500. Skip that maintenance because you're trying to save money, and you've just turned your truck into a ticking time bomb. One broken belt and your entire engine is scrap metal. Number 12, GM 3.6-liter high-feature V6. The GM 3.6-liter V6 shows up in various mid-sized trucks and SUVs, and it's famous for one expensive problem. The timing chain stretches like old rubber bands. This happens when oil flow isn't adequate, or when owners stretch their oil changes too long. When that timing chain stretches, your engine timing gets thrown off. You'll hear rattling noises from the front of the engine, and eventually you'll see check engine lights. The engine might misfire or run rough. Ignoring these symptoms leads to complete engine failure. Here's why this repair hurts so much. Replacing the timing chain requires tearing apart the entire front of the engine. Even though the parts aren't ridiculously expensive, you're paying for 10 to 15 hours of labor. The average repair runs between $2,000 and $2,700. That's a massive bill for what should be a simple maintenance item. But because GM designed this engine with complex overhead cams and difficult access, a predictable wear item becomes a financial crisis. Number 11, Ram 4.7-liter V8 Magnum. The 4.7-liter V8 Magnum engine in late 90s and 2000s. Ram 1500 trucks, Dakotas, and Durangos represents an old-school failure mode that still costs a fortune. This engine is known for blowing head gaskets, often made worse by thermal management problems or sludge from poor maintenance. When the head gasket fails, coolant leaks into places it shouldn't be. You'll see white smoke from the exhaust, your coolant levels drop mysteriously, and your oil might look milky. The engine overheats, and if you keep driving it, you're looking at warped cylinder heads or a cracked block. Replacing head gaskets requires complete disassembly of the top half of the engine. Mechanics have to remove the intake manifold, valve covers, cylinder heads, and carefully clean all the mating surfaces. Then everything gets reassembled with new gaskets and bolts torqued to exact specifications. The labor alone is brutal. Average repair costs run between $2,400 and $3,200. That's real money for a truck that's probably not worth much more than the repair itself. This is why you see so many of these trucks with blown head gaskets sitting in junkyards. Number 10, GM 6.5-liter Turbo Diesel V8. The 6.5-liter Turbo Diesel V 8 in 1992 through 1998, GMC and K-Series trucks sets the historical standard for terrible diesel reliability. This engine suffered from fundamental design problems that caused widespread failures. The biggest issue is cracked cylinder heads and engine blocks. The engine just couldn't handle the thermal stress and pressure of normal diesel operation. These cracks would appear seemingly out of nowhere, and once they start, there's no fixing them with stop-leak products or prayers. Consumer reports show these engines failing between 85,000 and 120,000 miles. That's pathetically short for a diesel engine that should last 300,000 miles or more. The pump-mounted driver, also called the FSD or PMD, also fails constantly due to heat, causing stalling and rough running. When these catastrophic failures happen, you need a complete engine replacement. We're talking $4,000 to $7,200 just to swap in another engine that will probably fail the same way. This engine proved that even diesel engines can be designed so poorly that they're disposable. Number 9. Nissan 5.6-liter VK56D EV8. The 5.6-liter VK56D EV8 in first-generation Nissan Titans and Armadas from 2004 through 2015 shows what happens when a manufacturer rushes into the full-size truck market without proper testing. This was Nissan's first attempt at competing with the Big Three, and it shows. The most common engine problem is cracked exhaust manifolds. These manifolds crack and cause loud ticking noises when you start the truck. Replacing them requires massive disassembly because they're buried deep in the engine bay. The labor costs are ridiculous for what should be simple bolt-on parts. But the engine problems are just the beginning. Early models from 2004 through 2006 had huge numbers of complaints to NHTSA about catastrophic drivetrain failures. We're talking rear axles and differentials grenading themselves, transmissions failing, and complete loss of power while driving. Even the 2017 generation Titan had complaints about severe engine failures, including crankshaft failures. When your crankshaft breaks, your engine is completely destroyed. There's no repair, only replacement. This pattern of failures across multiple generations proves Nissan never solved the fundamental reliability problems. Number 8. Ram 3.0-liter EcoDiesel V6. The 3.0-liter EcoDiesel V6 in 2014 through 2016. Ram 1500 trucks carries a different kind of risk, regulatory problems that create long-term uncertainty. This engine was supposed to bring diesel efficiency to half-ton trucks, but it brought legal nightmares instead. NHTSA issued a major safety recall, specifically for the diesel exhaust gas recirculation cooler, which could fail and cause problems. More significantly, Fiat Chrysler faced federal and state settlements because this engine didn't comply with emissions regulations. The settlement forced Ram to perform mandatory software updates on all these trucks. While the repair was free and came with extended warranties, that software flash changed how the engine performs. Owners reported different fuel economy and power characteristics after the update compared to what they bought originally. Here's the real problem. You're buying a truck where the manufacturer had to fundamentally alter the engine's programming to meet regulations it should have met from day one. That creates uncertainty about long-term reliability and resale value. Even if the repairs were covered, you're stuck with an engine that was proven non-compliant and then band-aided with software. Number 7. GM 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter V8 with active fuel management. The GM 5.3-liter and 6.2-liter V8 engines in Chevrolet Silverado, 1500, GMC Sierra 1500, Tahoe, Suburban, and Yukon models from 2007 onward share a catastrophic flaw that GM refuses to properly fix. Active fuel management, or its newer version called dynamic fuel management. These systems deactivate cylinders to save fuel, and they use specialized lifters that fail constantly. When those lifters fail, you hear loud ticking noises, the engine misfires, and eventually you lose power. Sound familiar? It should, because it's the same problem as the Ram HEMI. But GM adds an extra layer of failure: excessive oil consumption. Technical service bulletins from GM admit that oil spray from the AFM pressure relief valve, or oil being sucked through the PCV system, causes engines to burn through more than 1 quart of oil every 2,000 to 3,000 miles. If you hit the subscribe button right now, you'll never miss critical information that could save you thousands on your next truck purchase. Seriously, subscribing takes 2 seconds, and it might be the smartest financial decision you make this year. This chronic oil starvation accelerates wear on those already weak lifters, causing them to collapse completely. Repair involves replacing all the defective lifters and related components. Extremely labor-intensive work that costs between $1,000 and $3,500, depending on how much damage occurred. Number 6. Toyota Tundra and Tacoma frames. This entry proves that your truck's biggest threat might not be under the hood. It's the frame holding everything together. Toyota builds engines that run forever, but they completely failed at building frames that don't rot from the inside out. Specific models, particularly early 2000s first-generation Tundras and second-generation Tacomas, had inadequate rust-proofing and terrible designs that trapped moisture and debris inside the box frame road, salt and water accumulated, and caused the frame to corrode from the inside where you couldn't see it. This internal rot compromised the structural integrity of the entire truck. Components like the rear cross member would fail, and the frame would literally crack or break. This isn't cosmetic surface rust. This is catastrophic structural failure that makes the vehicle unsafe to drive regardless of how good the engine runs. The problem was so widespread that Toyota was forced into a $3.4 billion settlement in the United States. They had to inspect trucks, replace frames, or buy back vehicles completely. $3.4 billion proves this wasn't a small regional problem. This was a fundamental design failure affecting hundreds of thousands of trucks. If you own an older Tundra or Tacoma that hasn't been part of this frame replacement program, your truck could be worthless despite having a bulletproof engine. The frame is the foundation of everything, and when it fails, nothing else matters. That's a total loss. Number 5. Ram 5.7-liter Hemi V8 with multi-displacement system. The 5.7-liter Hemi V8 used in Ram 1,500 trucks from 2008 through 2021 is infamous for the Hemi tick, a ticking noise that signals impending catastrophic failure. This isn't normal valve train noise. This is the sound of your engine destroying itself. The problem is tied directly to the multi-displacement system, Ram's version of cylinder deactivation for fuel economy. MDS uses specialized lifters with roller bearings, and those bearings seize up constantly. Once the roller stops turning, you get metal-on-metal friction that rapidly wears down the camshaft lobes. That friction creates the characteristic ticking noise that progressively gets worse until it becomes a severe knock. Here's what makes this terrifying. Consumer reports and legal challenges prove this is a fundamental design flaw related to oil pressure and starvation within the MDS components. You cannot prevent this failure with synthetic oil or perfect maintenance. The system is designed to fail. Multiple class action lawsuits allege this defect causes catastrophic engine failure and dangerous loss of power, especially at highway speeds. Imagine pulling onto the interstate with your family and suddenly your engine loses power in heavy traffic because a lifter failed. Number 4. Ford 5.4-liter 3-valve Triton V8. The Ford 5.4-liter 3-valve Triton V8, found in F-150s, Expeditions, and E-Series vans from 2004 through 2010, represents one of the most expensive maintenance nightmares in modern truck history. This engine has 3 major problems that all feed into each other to guarantee expensive failure. First, the spark plug disaster. Ford designed a 2-piece spark plug that frequently breaks off deep inside the cylinder head when you try to change it. What should be routine maintenance becomes a high-cost extraction job requiring specialized tools. If you break a plug, you're looking at $700 to $1,000 just to remove it. If the threads in the aluminum head get damaged, repair costs jump to $3,000 to $4,500. Second, the cam phaser death rattle. The variable valve timing components are weak and fail constantly, creating rough, idle, and loud knocking sounds that make the engine sound like a diesel. Third, the timing chain system collapses, the tensioners are poorly designed, and the engine has tiny oil passages that clog with sludge easily. Miss an oil change or run the truck hard, and that sludge accelerates wear on the timing chain and guides. The chains stretch and eventually the engine jumps time, causing catastrophic internal damage. Here's the evil genius of this design. A spark plug change costs about $782 at a shop because of the high risk of breakage. That high cost makes owners defer the maintenance, which accelerates sludge buildup, which kills the timing components. Ford created a cycle that guarantees eventual catastrophic breakdown. Number 3. Ford 6.4-liter Powerstroke Diesel V8. The 6.4-liter Powerstroke Diesel in 2008 through 2010 Super Duty trucks was Ford's attempt to fix the disasters of the 6.0-liter. Instead, they created something even worse. An engine so fundamentally flawed that Ford only built it for 3 years before giving up completely. The 6.4-liter has weak internal components, particularly the pistons. But the real killer is the advanced emission system with the diesel particulate filter. The DPF requires regeneration cycles where it burns off accumulated soot by injecting extra fuel into the exhaust stream. This process causes severe oil dilution. Diesel fuel washes past the piston rings and contaminates your engine oil. That contaminated oil can't properly lubricate the engine. Meanwhile, the regeneration cycles subject those already weak pistons to extreme thermal stress. The result is widespread catastrophic engine failure. Independent diesel specialists report seeing cracked pistons or cooling system breaches that cause hydrolock constantly on these engines. When this happens, you need complete engine replacement, $8,000 to $15,000 or more. The fact that Ford built this engine for only 3 model years before ending their partnership with Navistar and designing the next diesel in-house proves the 6.4-liter was unfixable. This wasn't a problem that could be solved with updates or revisions. This was a fundamental design that prioritized emissions compliance over basic durability. Buying a truck with a 6.4-liter Powerstroke means you're gambling on when, not if, you'll need a complete engine replacement. Number 2. Ford 6.0-liter Powerstroke Diesel V8. The 6.0-liter Powerstroke in 2003 through 2007 Super Duty trucks is legendary for being a disaster. So bad that an entire aftermarket industry exists just to fix Ford's mistakes. This engine has 8 major failure points, all interconnected through terrible thermal management. The oil cooler clogs with sand and debris left over from the engine casting process. This reduces coolant flow and causes oil temperatures to spike past 230 degrees. That restricted flow then starves the exhaust gas recirculation cooler. The EGR cooler fails because it's not getting adequate coolant. It ruptures and dumps coolant directly into the exhaust system. Meanwhile, excessive cylinder pressure and compromised cooling causes the factory head bolts to stretch. Those stretch bolts allow the head gaskets to blow out, mixing oil and coolant and causing the engine to overheat. The high-pressure oil pump and injection systems also fail constantly, causing the truck to lose power or refuse to start. Here's the criminal part. Ford knew about serious problems with the turbocharger, fuel injection systems, and head gaskets as early as 2002. Even before the engine's official release, they launched it anyway to meet 2004 emissions requirements. That knowledge led to protracted lawsuits between Ford and Navistar, the company that built the engine. Traditional repairs don't work because all these systems are interconnected. Fix one problem and another appears. This created the term bulletproofing, upgrading core components with stronger aftermarket parts. You replace the factory head bolts with studs, upgrade the EGR and oil coolers, and add coolant filtration systems. Number 1. GM 6.6-liter LML Duramax Diesel. The GM 6.6-liter LML Duramax Diesel in 2011 through 2016. Heavy-duty Silverado and Sierra 2500 and 3500 trucks is the most financially devastating time bomb on this list because of one component, The Bosch CP4 high-pressure fuel pump. This pump relies heavily on diesel fuel's lubricating properties for internal longevity. The problem is that the CP4 pump was never compatible with US low-sulfur diesel. Our fuel lacks the necessary lubricity and contains more water than European fuel standards. The pump was designed for European fuel and forced into American trucks anyway. When this pump fails, internal metal components rub against each other and generate fine metallic debris. That contamination is immediately pumped throughout the entire high-pressure fuel system at thousands of pounds of pressure. The metal shavings destroy everything they touch. This isn't just replacing a fuel pump. This is total fuel system destruction. You need to replace the pump itself. $800 to $1,500 all 8 fuel injectors. $1,500 to $4,000 or more. The high-pressure fuel rails, all the fuel lines. Often the low-pressure components and even the fuel tank need flushing or replacement. Total dealer repair costs typically range from $10,000 to $15,000 or more. And here's what makes this a true time bomb. It happens without warning. The pump is fine one moment, and the next moment your truck dies, and your entire fuel system is contaminated with metal shavings. This defect is the basis of ongoing class action litigation. Settlements have been reached allowing owners to file claims for reimbursement because the problem is so widespread and the financial burden so extreme. For LML Duramax owners, installing a CP4 bypass or filtration kit preemptively is considered mandatory to avoid financial catastrophe. The CP4 pump failure represents the absolute worst-case scenario for truck ownership. Sudden total system failure requiring 5-figure repairs on a truck that might only be worth $20,000 to $30,000. These 13 engines prove that the biggest threat to your wallet isn't the purchase price. It's the hidden design flaws waiting to strike. Before you even think about which truck to buy, you need to see my video on the 10 trucks everyone will regret buying in 2026, because those mistakes are even more expensive.